We live in a changing world, don't we? In many ways, that's been very positive. Equal opportunities have been furthered, and we have moved technically and technologically into new areas that have enhanced our lifestyles. It's been fantastic seeing some of the changes over the recent years. But one thing that has been quite unchanging is religion. It's still, in many ways, holding on to the same beliefs that they always have done, the main religions in this world. Does that mean really they're out of touch? Is it time that religion took a back seat? Is it completely out of step with the way that the world has been changing, the way we've changed how we're doing things, how we're thinking? And I'm no stranger to those questions and to those challenges. Yet despite them, I am religious and I do call myself a Christian. But how can that be in today's world? Well, I'd like to share my stories, my experiences, and make of it what you will. So I should introduce myself first of all. I'm Tom. I'm from the UK. The stories I share are just from my life, and some are silly, some for myself were more scary at the time, some arguably supernatural. But like I say, see what you think as you listen to them. I was 8 years old, and top of the stairs, before I went to bed, I asked my mum, "Does God ever answer your prayer?" And she said, "Sometimes." Now, that was a significant answer for me. If she said yes, then I would perhaps have approached prayer too expectantly and expected an instant answer from God. If she said no, then I would have been put off. So I think by the fact she said sometimes, it encouraged me to approach prayer with patience. And I believe I heard God when the time was right. Winding forward, about 15 years old, I was trying to sort out, forgive me, I was 16 years old, I was trying to sort out my things between school and college and try to get the room a bit more tidy. I was sharing a room with my brother at the time. I was unloading things from the cupboard into a box. He was about 10 years younger than me. He was going to go to bed earlier than me, so it allowed me to take the things out of the room to sort separately. One thing I came across as I was emptying the cupboard was an old paper knife in the shape of a sword. My mum had given this to me as a gift after she visited a place, and it was a lovely little gift. But I looked at it with some regret because, unfortunately, I was given it when I was younger, and I used this, what was in the shape of a sword, in a pretend toy fight, and I snapped it almost straight away. And it was made of metal, and you could see the break as I was rattling it out in the box, and you could see the roughened metal across the join where it had broken into completely separate pieces. Obviously, with some optimism, I'd collated together another little chewed up small bit of plastic from something in this box as well, that maybe someday I might fix it. I saw this rattling about in the box at the same time as shaking the sword about. Anyway, I put it in the box, put a few things on top of it, and then come the morning, I then started sorting through the box, unloading all the things, and I came across this paper knife again. But much to my awe and surprise, it was in one piece. And so naturally you think, how's this happened? But as I looked closely at it, where there was a break, there was absolutely no join mark. It was completely in one piece, as if it had never been broken. And what's more, it was the same box, because there's this tiny chewed up bit of plastic in there that I noticed the night before. And naturally, you hear that story and you think, well, I must have misseen something. I must have been confused about what I saw. But I'm certain of what I saw the night before, and that it was in two pieces then, and that this was the same box. I did ask my parents, did you touch anything in this box? And they denied it. And everything was piled up on it in the same way anyway. And nobody had seen me look at this paper knife the night before. At the time, for me, this was an evidence of something outside the natural, if you like, that supernatural things exist. It didn't immediately tell me that, yes, there's a God out there. In fact, if anything, I saw just a supernatural thing, not that that God had done this. Nonetheless, I think that laid a foundation for appreciating there was something supernatural out there. And I think without that foundation, if you like, I perhaps would have doubted too much the further steps in my journey. So, winding forward again, it was the 4th year at university, and I was walking back with my friend from the shop with some ice cream, and we came across some friends, so we started chatting to them, and all of a sudden I was struck with a really strong message in my head that I needed to move on then. And I thought, that's really rude, I can't do that. And it was such a strong message that I had to sort of argue with it, really, to sort of say that I must be mishearing things here. We didn't move on. We did wait until the end of the conversation, and then, as we walked around the corner, myself and my friend, the timing was such then that we met up with a mugger, and he ended up asking for my wallet. He was holding a blade up to my neck, and then when I didn't respond quick enough, he was starting to drag me across the road to a back alley. And then I saw a bush on the other side of the back alley, adjacent to someone's garden, and then just grabbed the bush. I didn't care if it was thorny or not. I wanted to stop myself being pulled in that back alley. I thought, goodness knows what he's going to do me there. So that gave me a chance. It stopped him, and it just gave me a chance to say, look, mate, I will give you my wallet, honestly. Look, here you go. And then off he ran. So I was safe, thankfully. But the shock came afterwards when I was telling my friends back at the house. I suppose you don't realise when these things happen just what is happening in a way. It's only when you tell people afterwards. Then I was going white with shock, my friends were telling me. And naturally, that made me a bit scared to go outside. I didn't want to walk out in the dark again. And and I was in my bed the following evening, and then I was just lying on my bed. And then I saw the Bible up on my shelf, and I felt led to kind of open this Bible, and as if my thumb guided me, really, I just opened up randomly in the Bible a story I'd never read before. And as I recall, it was that the Apostle Paul was on a boat with some prisoners and some other sailors, and God told them not to sail in a particular direction because they'll hit trouble. But they looked at the waters and it seemed calm. I thought, no problem going that way. So they sailed in the direction they were going to go. And then they did hit trouble. There was a storm. The boat was all over the place. But God said, don't worry, not a hair on your head's going to be hurt. Just throw your cargo overboard. Everyone will be fine. So they did, and the seas calmed, and not a hair on anyone's head was hurt. And after I read this, the parallel with my own experience the night before was immediately obvious. And you know, when people talk about the fear of God, now I should probably explain, it's not the word fear. When we talk about fear of God, means awe and respect. It's not the same meaning as fear as we mean it today. But I fully appreciated what it meant at that point. I got a real whoa. God is real feeling here, because I appreciated then that it all clicked together. Thought, yes, I had one of the most significant experiences I ever had of a clear message that I should move on. God tried to protect me from this mugging happening. But despite the fact I ignored his advice, grabbing that bush effectively saved me from coming to any harm. And I thought, yeah, wow. And I thought, do you know what really struck me about that was, I think sometimes we can have a false image that we can try and live a good life, and we can try and live for God, but maybe if we slip up, we're going to fall out of God's favour, and He's not going to look after us. And if something goes wrong, it's because we've not done something right. And I think that's such a false view. And that helped me appreciate this experience, helped me appreciate that God looks out for you. If you're trying to live for Him, He looks out for you, whatever mistakes you make. And He forgives you for those mistakes. And, I was just so reassured by that. And it instantly made a difference to me that I then did feel confident again to walk out in the dark. I thought, I might come across something, but I know God's going to protect me. I said a prayer before I went out, but that calmed my nerves about it, and I was happy to go out in the dark again. So, yeah, that was a powerful experience for me. And the final story I'm going to share is in my final year of university, when I was working on my final year project, and I was just in the house on my own, in the student house on my own, and I took advantage of being on the house on my own, and just decided to chat to God, and I just offloaded everything on my mind. I was just myself with God. I just spoke to Him about everything I was grateful for, everything I was concerned about. And one thing I did share was that I didn't get on with my brother at the time, and I know we always used to argue. He would always swear at me, and I was praying, oh, please God, help my brother to be a better person and help us to get on. And then I ran out of words, and I was silent. And then, really vividly in my mind, a clear picture of my brother just appeared in front of me. It wasn't physically in front of me, it was in my mind, but it was very vivid, very clear. And I found myself starting to cry. And I said, he's my brother and I love him. He's my brother and I love him. And with that whole experience came a really pure feeling of love, and just a real sense of a purity of love that I'd never felt before. And that did a significant thing for me. It showed me what God is about. And I think one question that has often been in my mind through my journey is, how do we know Christianity is the right religion? There's other religions which are so similar to Christianity, and how do we know Christianity is the right one? And factually, it's difficult to say one or the other. And I don't dispute that other religions have truth in them as well. But is Christianity true? Am I barking up the wrong tree? And that question has often been in my mind. But this experience, it made me. If I found myself saying, "Yes, God, if this is what you're about, you're who I want to worship," and yeah, for me, it showed me that whether Christianity is completely true or not, it taps into what I see as being the truth. It taps into what I want things to be about, that I'm dedicating my life to. Yeah, that purity of love, it was spot on. It represented what I want to live for. And after that experience as well, I went back to my brother and I apologised to him, and I said, I'm sorry for the times I've got at you, and I realised, I need to change. It's not him. It's not just him. And he said, and I expected him to snap back at me and say I should think so too, because that's how a lot of our conversations went. But he said, that's okay, and I'm sorry too. And ever since then, we've got on more like brothers should. And so for me, my experiences tell me of a God who doesn't give up on me, who's helped overcome perhaps my any inclination that that science is a barrier to religion, by showing me supernatural things happen. He, however, silly and little that might seem with a paper knife, but for me it meant a lot. And a God who protects me and looks out for me, and a God who is all about a pure love. So these experiences have been helpful for me. I don't know whether they're going to be helpful for anyone else. I hope, if nothing else, that the message I'd like to give from this is the promise from the Bible, which is seek and you will find. At the end of the day, you're going to make your own journey in life, and you make your own decisions. But that promise of seek and you will find, to take that approach and to do so with some patience, to not stop seeking, to not stop wishing to learn more, and to not give up on prayer. And I do believe that God will show himself to you when the time is right. So thank you for listening, and I wish you well in your life, and may God bless you.